I was halfway through hauling hay when I heard it. A scream so sharp it cut straight across the Texas heat like somebody fired a warning shot inside my chest. I dropped what I was holding and ran for the old barn, the one I keep locked for a reason. And when I hit the door, I realized the screaming wasn't coming from outside, it was coming from the cellar stairs, where a woman I never invited was trapped with a full-grown bear. Let me back up, because I know how that sounds. My name's Noah Jacobs. I'm not some influencer with a pet grizzly for clicks. I'm a retired forest ranger who ended up on my granddad's land. 16 acres, quiet, dusty, honest work, and the kind of peace you can't buy in a city. The barn is old, but it's solid, and under it there's a reinforced space I built with professionals' permits, vet records, the whole boring stack of paperwork nobody cares about until someone panics. And the bear. Hank isn't a mascot. He isn't a trick. He's a rescue that came out of a flood years ago from the nearby conservation zone, half dead and injured, and I did what I've always done: stabilize, report, coordinate, follow the rules. The only rule I'm strict about is simple. You don't go into that barn unless I'm with you, period. So when I heard that scream, my first thought wasn't, "Oh no, a bear." It was, "Who the hell is in my barn?" I sprinted across the field, boots kicking up dust, lungs burning, and I yelled before I even saw her. "Don't move. Don't move." She was already halfway down the cellar stairs. Blonde bob lipstick that looked like it came out of a magazine phone in her hand like it was a badge. And heels sinking into barn dirt like she thought the ground would apologize. Hank was at the bottom in the dim light, big. Still not charging, but letting out that low warning growl that tells you he's scared and he's deciding what comes next. Her phone slipped, clattered down the steps, and landed way too close to his paws. She stared down like she couldn't process reality fast enough, and then she shrieked, "Is that a real bear?" And that's when the cellar door. My door clicked shut behind her. Not because the bear did anything, because she had messed with the latch and trapped herself. I grabbed the handle, yanked, felt resistance, and my blood went cold because whoever got in there didn't just wander, someone forced a lock. "Back up," I shouted, voice low. Now control the way you talk when you're trying not to startle a living tank. Do not run. Do not scream. Breathe. She stomped her foot like she was filing a complaint with the universe. That stomp echoed down the stairs, and Hank took one heavy step forward. "Stop!" I snapped, and she froze finally because fear beat entitlement for once. I got the latch loose, hauled the door open, and I went down the steps slow, one hand up, talking to Hank like I'd done 1,000 times. "Easy, bud. It's me. You're okay." He huffed, sniffed, backed off just enough. She bolted past me like a deer hit daylight and spun around instantly, because of course she did, and pointed right in my face. "This is illegal," she said, shaking but still trying to sound powerful. "You endangered my life. I'm calling the authorities." I stared at her, sweat running down my back, and all I could think was, "You broke into my barn, and now you're mad I live here." "Ma'am," I said flat as stone, "you're on private property." She didn't even hear it. She marched to her shiny Lexus, flung the door open, and peeled out like she was escaping a crime scene, because she was. That should have been the end. People get scared, they learn, they stay away. But this wasn't a normal neighbor. This was the president of a brand new homeowners association. Yeah, a homeowners association, 2 miles down the road in a development called Sunset Valley Estates, full of matching mailboxes and lawns that look like they're vacuumed. And here's the part that still makes me laugh, except it's not funny. My ranch isn't in their HOA. Not on paper, not by law, not by jurisdiction, not by anything. But Karen Monroe, because of course her name was Karen Monroe, had decided the map should bend to her feelings. It started small. A knock at my gate, her telling me my no trespassing sign was an eyesore. Then letters taped to my fence about community standards. Then anonymous calls to animal control claiming I had dangerous wild animals. Which technically, sure, if you ignore the permits, the inspections, and the fact that the danger was contained behind reinforced steel and strict protocols. A week later, my cameras caught her photographing my barn like I was hiding aliens under it. I told myself, pick your battles. Bad call. Because the next morning I woke up to a sheriff's cruiser animal control trucks and Karen standing behind them with her arms folded like she was about to watch the ending she paid for. The deputy kept it professional. Animal control asked the question straight. "Sir, are you housing a bear on the premises?" I didn't argue, didn't posture, didn't play cowboy. I went inside, grabbed my folder, permits, vet records, microchip, rehab, classification, everything, and handed it over. The clipboard woman flipped through the pages slowly. Karen was tapping her foot like the law was taking too long. Finally, the woman looked up and said, "This is legal, more than legal. These records are better than most licensed facilities." I watched Karen's face do that little glitch people do when reality refuses to cooperate. She lunged for a new angle. "He locked me in a basement with it." The sheriff's eyebrows went up. "And how did you get in the basement, ma'am?" "I was investigating," she said like that was a magic phrase. He stared at her. "So, you trespassed." Silence. He asked if she broke a lock. More silence. And for the first time I saw her realize that her favorite weapon authority theater doesn't work when actual authority shows up. They left and I thought, okay, it's done. Then a cease and desist letter landed in my mailbox from the Sunset Valley HOA legal department claiming I was violating community safety ordinances. I read it twice real slow like maybe the words would rearrange into something that made sense. They didn't. I poured black coffee, sat on my porch, stared at the barn and felt something shift in me because it wasn't just annoying anymore. It was targeted. Then came the twist that turned my stomach. Friday before Memorial Day I noticed fresh footprints near the barn and the latch was open. Not damaged, open. I ran inside, hit the cellar stairs, and my heart dropped. Hank wasn't where he should have been, and in the dim light I saw a steel trap cage, one of those humane ones people like to pretend aren't torture, and Hank was inside, groggy eyes barely tracking. A man in a Sunset Valley HOA polo shirt stood there holding a long pole like he belonged in my barn. He stammered something about authorization. I grabbed him by the collar. "Authorization from who?" I said low, dangerous, because I was 1 second away from doing something that would have made the news for all the wrong reasons. And then above us something slammed. The barn doors. Hard. The air changed. A sharp smell hit my nose, and then smoke. Flames started licking through the gaps overhead fast and hungry, like somebody had planned the timing. We were trapped underground with a sedated bear in a cage, and a barn turning into a chimney. That's the moment right there where I almost broke. Not in some dramatic maybe I'm the problem way, not that. More like I felt the system tilt against me so hard it made me dizzy. Because what do you even do when someone can trespass, steal, and burn your life down, then mail you a violation notice like they're the victim? I remember thinking for a split second, this is how people lose everything. Not from one big punch, from 1,000 little abuses stacked up until you're too tired to stand. Then Hank made a soft sound in that cage, barely a grunt, and it snapped me back. I wasn't going to freeze. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to move. I found the old storm hatch in the back wall, rusted, half covered by feed bags, and I kicked it until the bolt shook loose. The tunnel was tight, but it ran out behind the barn into open field. I shoved the HOA guy toward the cage. "You're helping," I told him, "or we both burn." We dragged that cage inch by inch through smoke, coughing eyes, watering hands, slipping the heat building behind us like a countdown. And when daylight finally hit my face, when air finally hit my lungs, I spun around and saw her. Karen, standing at the tree line in sunglasses, holding a little remote, like she was watching a show she paid to stream. She didn't yell. She didn't run. She smirked and walked away. By the time the volunteer fire crew arrived, the barn was mostly gone, black beams, ash, the kind of ruin that makes you feel hollow. That night I called my lawyer. The next morning I moved Hank to a rescue facility 3 hours away because I wasn't risking him again, not while someone was playing power games with gasoline. And when I came home, my mailbox was smashed, and there was another violation notice inside. For the barn damage. Signed by Karen Monroe. I laughed one short, ugly laugh because it was either that or start screaming. So I did the only thing that actually works on people like this. I documented everything. Burn patterns, forced locks, footprints, tire marks that matched a certain Lexus size, camera footage, timestamps. Then I sent it to my lawyer, to the sheriff, and to a local news station.